What's up, Infected? Welcome to the Quarantine. Today I'm going to be taking a look at a game by the name of Battle for Souls. Now, Battle for Souls is a game that covers the biblical clash between the forces of heaven and the forces of hell trying to either corrupt or save souls. Now, how you're going to be doing that is essentially using the different assets at your disposal and trying to corrupt or save these souls using temptations or virtues based on their vices, or whatever the souls are either weak against or strong against in respect to their appropriate sides. You're going to go back and forth until all of the souls have either been corrupted or they have been saved. You're going to add up how many victory points, and the winner is, or whoever has the most points is declared the winner. So that's basically the gist of Battle for Souls. So let's head over to the overview. Alright, now in Battle for Souls, you're going to select pretty much any number of souls that you have. So as you see here, there's a wide variety. You can use the souls based on the letter. You could really just mix and match. You can shuffle them up and deal out just however many you want, depending on the level of gameplay. Now, when you look at the souls here in the middle, they have up here is the holy side. This is neutral, and this is the demonic side. This is the forces of hell. So what you're going to be doing, anything that's here is just considered a 0. So as you gain points, you're going to be putting this down here and increasing points. So this would, or in this case, technically decreasing. So if this were to be at 3 unholy points, and the forces of heaven were to gain 2 holy points, they would be able to drop this down to a 1, because you're deducting points rather than adding points, because the astronomer has already been corrupted. Each player is going to have their own set of cards here, such as you see temptation and virtues, intercession and sins, holy and unholy relics, and archangels and devils. Now, the two different sides, they're very similar with what they're allowed to do, but the main point of the game is actually going to be these temptation and these virtue cards, and this is where the meat of the game is going to come from. So when we look at one of the souls, whatever is at the top of the soul is what the heaven player is trying to get. So the astronomer is all about some chastity, because he's lame. However, the sloth, he's also a sloth, which is what's going to damn him. So the temptation and the virtues deck that the heaven and hell player respectively are going to have, they effectively are the same, but with the hell player, you have the 7 deadly sins: gluttony, greed, envy, sloth, pride, wrath, and my personal favorite, lust. However, the heaven player has the 7 virtues. They have temperance, chastity, diligence, patience, charity, kindness, and humility, which is the polar opposite of what the hell player is allowed to do. So throughout the game, the players are going to be playing poker hands, as you see here. You have a full house, and then you have 5 different ones. So it's very similar to poker. Now, if you're ever unsure if you're able to make a hand, the game comes with a quick reference card here that tells you all the different hands that you can make and then what exactly they do. Now, most of the hands are going to allow you to make holy or unholy points, and you're going to be doing this constant tug-of-war back and forth. Some of them allow you to take holy and unholy points away. However, some of them allow you to get sin and intercession cards, which are really strong abilities that you can get. You can also wind up getting holy and unholy relics, which are limited time use, but some of the most powerful things in the game. So throughout the course of the game, you're going to be increasing these stats all the way up to 6, either unholy or holy. Now, if you were to ever go to a 7, instead of getting anything fancy and just reaping the souls, you will get a devil or an archangel, which are very, very powerful cards that just allow you to get free points on certain either virtues or temptations, depending. Now, the last card of the game is the Reap card. Now, these are strewn throughout the temptation and virtue decks, and these are what allow you to actually reap these souls outside of turning them into a devil or an archangel. So the way you would do it is, if there's a skull on this die, which is a 4, 5, or a 6, so 4, 5, or 6 of these unholy points, you can play this, and you will reap all of the souls on the field. However, there's a couple stipulations to it. Either everybody has to be on either one side or the other, to heaven or hell, or you have to have at least one person that has a skull, which is 4 or higher. So that leaves a little bit of strategy in the game of, do you want to try to corrupt everybody? When do you want to get people to your side? So on and so forth. Because if I were to reap this right now, because he's got a skull here and I'm playing the Forces of Hell, all the other souls, if they do not have a skull on them, they're going to go to purgatory and nobody gets them. Once the last soul has been reaped, the players are going to dismantle their decks and pull out any of the cards that have these here. These are your victory point markers. At the end of the game, whoever has the most victory point markers is declared the winner. Alright, Battle for Souls. Well, when I first saw this being played, and I saw a couple screenshots and videos and stuff of it, I thought it looked interesting. It looked, pretty simple with, the poker hands. That's really what you're doing throughout the course of the game. And different poker hands do different things, give you points, allow you to get new cards to be able to, just this tug-of-war. That's what it felt like. And I thought that was really, really cool. However, as an atheist, the theme was a little weird to me. Because, I'm not going to dive too deep into that, but, the concept of heaven and hell is a little strange to me. But I gave it a shot because I heard a lot of good things about it. And, so I got it to the table, we played it, and I was pleasantly surprised with just how much strategy there is involved in the game. So the game is very basic. You're making poker hands. That's it. But do you make this, super strong poker hand to bring the guy over to the Forces of Hell or Heaven, but then maybe you lose your chance at reaping a bunch of other people? Or do you spend those points to be able to buy new cards, which I didn't even talk about in the overview? Because you can spend your holy and unholy points to buy cards. So do you do that and try to reap these people? Or do you use those to, maybe let your opponent have the soul, but you're spending your points to buy holy and unholy relics or sins and stuff like that to be more powerful later on? And then the fact that the game can really be tailored to play however long you want to play. If you pulled out too many souls, and now you're like, I gotta go in like 20 minutes, pull a couple of them out. It's not gonna change anything. So you can really just play however long you want. You can use the whole giant stack and have a giant long game. You can use one of those letters or maybe a dozen or whatever, and you can really tailor that. And then with the artwork is beautiful Victorian era art. Now, some people may not like that because the artwork is very, some of them have, nudity, it's very evocative, there's a lot of violence going on in it. I mean, it's Victorian art. But the artwork is beautiful. They're really, really pretty artwork. And now, I actually had several of my friends are very, very religious, so I had them come over and try it as well because, the theme doesn't bother me. I find it fascinating. So with me, just, me and a lot of my friends, they played it, they all enjoyed it. But I wanted some of my very religious friends to try it. And they also enjoyed it as well because the theme feels, I think the best quote that I had is, it does feel like the struggle between heaven and hell. Because most of your turns, the Forces of Heaven's going to do one thing, the Forces of Hell is going to directly counter what the Forces of Heaven just did. So it's just going to be this back and forth until one person gets a leg up on the other. And, all of my religious friends that played this said that it feels that way. And they were worried that the game was going to be blasphemous or anything like that, and none of them said that it was. They said that the theme felt very good, felt very well implemented, but it didn't feel overwhelming or blasphemous, that it was very fun, but you could feel the theme. So, that is really, really good coming from both an atheist standpoint and a religious person standpoint, is that overall, everybody that played this enjoyed it. Now, with that said, the game does suffer from a few problems. It definitely has a rich get richer problem with it, where if, the Forces of Hell, if they suddenly start getting a couple, if they get the right demon out, then they're just getting free points every round. If they manage to get, if they're getting all of their holy or unholy relics in the Forces, in my example, the Forces of Hell, if you're getting all of your unholy relics and stuff and a bunch of sins, and the Forces of Holy aren't, the Forces of Holy is going to have a hard time keeping up. But with that said, if I'm spending all of my time getting unholy and unholy relics, or I'm getting relics and I'm getting sins and all that stuff, but then my opponent is just reaping all these souls, then it kind of balances it out. But just know that it can suffer at times from a rich get richer kind of system. But I think it can be mitigated as long as you're paying attention, you're doing the right things. Another problem that the game does have is because you have that deck of cards, you are kind of at the mercy of the luck of the draw. So, you know, if you're just not getting these cards that you need, if the sins that are out there are sins that you just, or virtues for that matter, they're just not cards that you seem to be able to be getting, but your opponent, they're, you know, getting all of their good cards, you're also going to have a little bit of a hard time keeping up. So there is that little element of luck with the game, but with the actions that you're allowed to take, you can take, you know, I can discard all of my cards and just draw back up to 5 at the end of the turn. So if none of these cards are doing anything for me, get rid of them, draw them back up. So you can mitigate some of that luck, but it's going to turn some people off. But overall, I have to say I'm actually very impressed with Battle for Souls. It's a very simple game to play. It's a very simple game to teach. And the theme is, you know, really well implemented in my opinion, and the artwork is stunning. So overall, I other than those few negatives that I had to mention about the game, there's not really a lot bad here. It is a good, solid, fun game. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys next time in the Quarantine.